Greetings and salutations. This is Abe Abdelhadi with The Bitter Truth, where we may not have all the answers, but we're going to ask a heck of a lot of questions. You can also become a bitter pill or a spoonful of sugar by visiting patreon.com/The Bitter Truth, where you can get some fabulous swag to make your life better. I'm very excited today. We've got a friend of the show returning, and she's in the middle of a whirlwind ton of activity. The founder of Free and Equal Elections, Christina Tobin. She's been on before, and we had some interesting chats about what we're going to talk about today, but we've got some final results today. I'm excited. Christina, are you there?
Hi, Abe. Thanks for having me back on your show.
Hey,
how are you today?
I'm good. Just, job-wise, just wrapping up the end of the year and all that kind of stuff, and it's been interesting. But yeah, just working and doing the show, and got into a cover band a couple of months back, and so we're going to start playing out. I've never done a cover band before. I only ever played in original bands. So I'm romancing the idea of not a lot of drama. And so far, so good. We practice once a week, songs we already know. So it's not like you're married to three guys and asking the marriage equivalent of, does this dress make me look fat, by telling them to play an E instead of a G. So it's working out. It's working out. But hey, listen.
Sounds like things are pretty good in your world.
They're okay. They could always be better, right? Like we never focus on what's good, do we? We always go, it could be better. But hey, listen, so last time you were on, we talked a little bit about the UCLA thing, but you were in the middle of it, so you couldn't really, get into all of it, but you finally got a resolution, right?
We did. It's about choosing to focus on the good, because there are far more great things in the world, I feel, and people for that matter, than not. And yeah, after 5 years, from a situation that happened back in 2014 with UCLA, I feel wrongfully canceling our United We Stand event. I feel it was full-on censorship. Fortunately, in recent months, actually September 9th it was, an arbitrator ruled in our favor that, in fact, UCLA breached the contract in canceling the United We Stand Fest. So I'm excited to have that ruling in our favor and to move forward, because it's taken 5 years to clear that unwarranted shadow of doubt that the university system wrongfully casted over free and equal elections, and really indirectly, directly myself being the founder of Free and Equal, and everybody that was a part of that event, from Larry King to Public Enemy to Dennis Kucinich to founding members of Wu-Tang Clan, the list goes on and on, Marianne Williamson, Ben & Jerry's, Dr. Bronner, David Bronner himself. So it's important for them to know that that cancellation was, in fact, I feel, a wrongful attack towards a organization that is here to bring about free and equal elections throughout the United States of America. So, yeah, it was worth it, but I'm glad it's done. We can move forward and focus on building beautiful things and with our foundation.
And who was the person? Was there a person responsible, or did they just decide by committee to pull the plug on you guys?
Yeah, after reading through, I think it was over 500 pages of internal emails that I had gotten access to through this legal arbitration process over the last year or so, it was very clear to me that it was a political attack towards censoring free and equal elections. Certain administrators were not excited about the involvement, lightly put, of Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Chuck D of Public Enemy, performing at United We Stand Fest. That's one of several projects that Free and Equal Elections, my nonprofit, really a nonprofit for the people, puts on. We do presidential debates, annual electoral reform symposiums, and the United We Stand Fest, which now this year has evolved into a tour. We had 5 stops. We'll be launching our 4th project next year while doing these simultaneously, our blockchain elections assistant app. But really it came down to our organization is about uniting individuals across the political spectrum beyond the 2-party line. We welcome all parties, including the D's, R's, alternative parties, independents. And there are just university system is a product of the system. It has a lot of room for improvement. Would be the kindest thing that I could say. And there's just a lot of politics when it comes to the dean, Robert Naples. Not a good guy. Should not have been the dean of University of UCLA, I feel, and a lot of other administration there as well. Rich Milan being another one.
Was it Maples or Milan that pulled the plug on you guys?
It was ultimately Rich Milan pulled the plug, but you can tell from the internal emails and his superiors through the dean and other administration. When the whole incident happened, we had, about 100 student group leaders that wanted to come and support the event back in 2014. I spoke in front of them, got a standing applause, and then a couple months later, they came to us and dropped really like flies, stating that their advisors had informed them not to support United We Stand, and I asked why, and they said they asked their advisors, and all the advisors had told them that the dean, Robert Naples, had instructed them to tell the student group leaders this. So when I take that and read all the internal emails, it's very clear to me Robert Naples was at the core, and whoever has control of him.
Sure.
The university system, it goes much deeper than the dean.
It's Board of Regents and all that, right? Yeah.
So they had hoped and planned that United We Stand would not take place had we not been able to book an alternative venue, which we did the day of the event. Who does that?
Right.
I just could not allow the university to put an end and destroy free and equal elections. They almost did, but the show went on and thousands of people showed up, and here we are 5 years later clearing our name of this unwarranted energy.
Well, and
in hopes that this case can help many others as well in the future.
Well, sure. And then I was going to make a snarky comment about it's not exactly Mario Savio down there, is it? But if anyone knows who he is, you should look him up. He was a pretty cool guy. But you guys were able to rally within a handful of days, though. I mean, on the bright side, it sucked obviously at the time, and it was kind of a gut punch that you worked this many months to get this event together, and with not small names. I mean, these are people that they've got schedules, they got things to do, and they clear out their time to come and be with you guys that weekend. But within a handful of days, you guys were able to line. I read some of it, and it seemed pretty amazing. I'm sure you got way better details than what I read online.
We actually pulled it together 5 hours before the event happened. Was when we booked the alternative venue, Belasco Theater in Los Angeles, and the show went on. But it was a very challenging task. There were a lot of it wasn't run nearly as organized as it would have been had we had it at the Poly Pavilion. It was very clear from the ticket sales on our end that we had not only within UCLA but an external source of Groupon that the event would be sold out. We were offered a lot more money, at least 3 times by UCLA, to settle and to sign a confidentiality agreement. I'm glad that we didn't. I feel that there should come and will be a day when the texts and details of this case will be published in the future. But, it will be, I'm in a position now to vocalize that.
Right.
UCLA did not want free and equal to happen on their university campus. It would have been, I feel, an event that would have been packed with 10,000 people. They did not want Public Enemy, particularly Chuck D of Public Enemy, to perform at United We Stand. So
that's amazing. That's amazing. It's supposed to be a liberal college. How do you not want Chuck D?
Well, when you have somebody that's really calling out the system,
right,
and really wants to help build a real movement from the ground up, the university system is a product of, as Dr. Ron Paul, former congressman out in Texas and presidential candidate, has spoken directly to me on a private call. He stated on himself on his own, the university system is the biggest threat. He told me, Christina, they breed their own kind. And I could see the control that these, advisors had over the student group leaders who in fear backed out of the event because they said they were afraid they wouldn't get a letter of recommendation. So fortunately, the show went on, but it was a much smaller venue, 2,000, but a great venue, Belasco Theater in Los Angeles. And a year later, Chuck D of Public Enemy did join our stage, of which he stated specifically, UCLA, we know what you did. Chuck D himself said this on our stage. We know what you did. Go to Christina Tobin for the truth. And, well, I found the truth through this case.
Good. Mm-hmm. And good for you for not signing an NDA, because the temptation of taking 3 times the money. Yeah, you're right. Because I read
even more than that.
Yeah, well, I read the settlement was like the case was for like $1 million, so you're looking at like a ton more, and you decided to know you want to shame these people, which is awesome.
Yeah, the only way I would have settled with UCLA is if they had offered us the Poly Pavilion in that settlement to try to repair the damage that had been done. They had offered that. And it was like, okay, we can try to make amends. We're not here to tear down the university. We're genuinely there to work with the university. But then they came back and said, nope, we don't want to include the venue at all. And we can't even maybe give you, they were just duplicity. That's exactly what the arbitrator said in his ruling. Rich Milan, he found him to be a man of duplicity, just not honest.
Wow.
And that's the experience I've had in dealing with the attempt to negotiate with UCLA. So, yeah, in the short run, it's like, more cash is great. Because it's hard to prove damages 5 years later. You're focused so much on winning the case, which we did. I'm glad I didn't take the offer. In the long run, it is only right, and in my conscience, it's right for the people to know what really happened. And we've cleared the reputation by winning this lawsuit. For me, for the arbitrator to rule that UCLA breached the contract, that's priceless.
100%.
There's no amount of money on the long term. If I were in it for the money, well, I'm not. I have been able to run with the help of our team this foundation on really a shoestring budget since that incident happened in 2014. Mm-hmm. And the big reason we won the case is we had 3 key witnesses, all of which were 6-figure funders. One leaned Democratic, one leaned Republican, one leaned anarchist, libertarian. Mm-hmm. I mean, totally different vendors with totally different viewpoints, but all putting up 6 figures and supporting United We Stand Best. They all came out and testified against UCLA on behalf of free and equal elections. So that really helped us to win this case, which is huge in the long run for our foundation.
That's good. Well, congratulations. And it allows you to really be you and say and do what you want, because if you took that NDA, you couldn't do this interview or interview anyone else.
And there you go.
Yeah.
And I can have my personal viewpoint of what I think happened in that case. And for a university that prides itself on the historic freedom of free speech, proved quite the opposite with my firsthand experience. And we've tried to host United We Stand at multiple universities the last couple of years, and I found them all to be hostile.
Right.
As soon as they figured out what we were about, they were just working against us. Not good. So we've moved into transitioning United We Stand towards beautiful causes, to help build beautiful causes for organizations and groups and so on, festivals from the ground up. And we have already seen a drastic momentum this year, and I think it's going to go to a whole nother level in 2020 with the United We Stand tour.
That's my next question.
Thanks to the people.
Well, and my next question too. You've hosted third-party debates in 2008, 12, and 16. Are you doing it again this year?
Yes, and that's mainstream media wrongfully trying to belittle free and equal elections and calling it a third-party debate. It's truly an open debate. We invite the mainstream Democrats, Republicans. We've had third-party candidates and independents in our debates for presidential. We've even done gubernatorial and Senate ones, which I've had independent-minded Democrats and Republicans participate. But in any case, yes, we are gearing up next after the primary to hold at least one presidential debate in 2020. And seeing that we're the only entity that has ever held a nationally televised debate outside of the mainstream Commission on Presidential Debates, it really puts us in a great place.
Mm-hmm.
We've cleared the synergy with UCLA. We're building out the United We Stand tour. And one or several of those stops will present one or multiple presidential debates we'll have. And we'll be simultaneously launching our blockchain election system app. But that's a whole nother topic. That's the beating heart of free and equal elections.
Sure.
That app is what will
and I didn't
about
mean
transparency
and I didn't
within
mean
our elections.
And I didn't necessarily mean third party in a pejorative. But my experience with this show,
that's okay.
But my experience with this show has been the D's and the R's. The only D's and R's I get on this show are the ones that have nothing to hide. And
exactly
the ones that I reach out to, and I've reached out to them. I've even reached out to APEC. I've emailed them like 7-8 times. But my last name's Abdelhadi. I run a show called The Bitter Truth. It may not go well. I don't know, but they still. I welcome them. I welcome them to come on. But regardless, my only point in bringing that up is the D's and R's that I've had on this show, because I've had libertarians and Greens on this show, no problem. And tomorrow, I think I have Sema Hernandez, who's running for Senate, true progressive. She's coming on again. She's up here for some business from Pasadena, Texas, and she ran against Beto in 2018 in the primary, and she got 250,000 votes on $5,000. Beto got 675,000 votes on $5 million. Tell you the difference, right? And she's a hardcore 100%. She was a co-chair of Texas Poor People's Campaign. I mean, she's a president of a nonprofit who's testifying up at the Hill here tomorrow, which is why she's going to come on and do the show. But she's the real deal. She's been on like 3 times, and she doesn't have anything, no agenda, no corporate money, and so she'll come on, and she's running as a Democrat. Right. But when I reach out to, say, the more mainstream Democrats who get DCCC money, I can't get a peep out of them. And they're not even big people. They just won't come on. Right. And then, guys like Steve Kling, who ran in the Texas District 25 for state Senate, he's been on a couple of times. Right. He's got nothing to hide. But the D's and the R's, I don't know if they'll want to participate in your debate, because you're not going to be some idiot, or the people you're going to get to moderate aren't going to be idiot moderators going, on your first week in president, what would you call Putin? What would you tell him? I mean, that's like 3rd grade questions, right? You guys would ask questions that are substantial, and those folks won't come on your show or your debate stage.
Well, they're welcome to. My role is as co-moderator. I've been in 2012 with Larry King and myself, in 2016 with Mr. Ed Asner of the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and myself. I let my viewpoint and my take as Free and Equal as a 501c3 nonprofit is let the people decide. Mm-hmm. So the articles are saying in the last couple of days that our current president, Donald Trump, doesn't plan to participate in the Commission on Presidential Debates next year. I had already predicted that prior to people in the network. I don't blame him. It's a platform that can't be trusted. Mm-hmm. He is a bit of an outsider, at least when he was elected, very much so, of the two-party system. 2 great things since, with Trump that I don't think many people can disagree with him being elected is, number one, people are more engaged than ever. And number 2, he's an outsider of the two-party system. Now, many would argue he's a bit more of the insider now. I get that. But when he was elected, he really wasn't. But the Commission on Presidential Debates is run by the former chairs of Democratic and Republican parties, and overall, I haven't seen much kindness of them really towards Donald Trump. So I could see how that platform could be very biased towards a Democratic candidate for president over Trump. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. With that happening, that could result in Trump or even the Democratic candidate that may not have anybody to debate to join our debate, or none at all. The debate will go on. We'll have all you need is 2 candidates to have a debate, and I welcome them. I would not jeopardize the credibility and reputation of free and equal elections because of my personal viewpoints, which are actually quite neutral. I really want the people to have a platform, an organization that can provide a debate that can treat and would treat every candidate equally so they can decide for themselves if the Democratic, Republican, alternative party, or independent candidate or candidates are best suited for as their president of the United States. That's my role, to help, give these candidates a free and equal chance of being heard and being elected on all levels, particularly Congress being the most important level, but truly all levels over time.
Yeah, no, I get it. And that was I made a snarky comment a second ago about Mario Savio. Those days are gone. I mean, Chris Hedges wrote a book about 10 years ago called The Death of the Liberal Class. I probably read it about 3 or 4 times. And in it, he talks about how the conscience of the country, which used to be the left, piece by piece has been decimated. Labor, the church, which used to be much more before the late 70s, and Jerry Falwell, kind of came stampeding in and took over the Republican Party. The church was much more, egalitarian, right? And the press, universities, and they're all gone. They're all gone. We've become pretty much a de facto right-wing country. It's like the Democrats became Republicans and the Republicans became insane, to paraphrase Noam Chomsky. And when people say, "What do you mean by that?" Well, look what the Democrats believe in, and you want to talk about insanity. Last cycle, the Republicans voted for 6 Nazis and a dead pimp. So I think they're insane. But it's kind of, like these guys that shut down your show, they came from a different background. How does that, and I'm asking this almost rhetorically because I don't know, but how does that evolution take place where you just forget what your ideals were when you were at least 30? And now you're just a dickhead pulling the plug on a concert because Chuck D is going to maybe possibly call you out, God forbid, right? Meanwhile, you have Ben Shapiro show up on your campus, and if anybody protests, you bitch about free speech, and then you still let him speak, but you won't let a show or a concert like the United We Stand show go on. It's just weird to me. It's just weird to me.
Yeah, Nabe, and they flat out lied. They said that Free and Equal, myself, failed to make payment on time. It was a final $90,000 wire, which was in fact sent to UCLA on time. That was our key witness of the 3. Quite an empowered woman who supports empowering women like myself, particularly in the political or educational arena and the work that I do. And she testified very clearly that not only once, twice, I think 3 or 4 times, that Rich Milan of UCLA, the head of the, Poly Pavilion, that department, contacted her and, according to her, tried to talk her out of sending the money, stating that he felt that Christina Tobin and myself was incapable of putting on the event. What person in their right mind? I mean, we are here renting a venue from UCLA Poly Pavilion. He has and had no right to contact our funder. The only reason he had her contact information was just to confirm that the wire was sent. Mm-hmm. I had no idea that he would try to sabotage our event, which is why the arbitrator stated clearly in his decision that Rich Milan of UCLA, his actions were of duplicity. That was it. Mm-hmm. And that's truly the case. So fortunately, the funder, brought this to my attention. We got on a 3-way call 30 minutes after the alleged noon deadline that day. I think it was like May 5th. May 5th. The event was May 10th at 12:30, and he agreed. Okay, you wire it. In the moment, he said. I guess is what he argued in the case, and. Well, it was wired within 20 minutes of that call.
Wow.
Text everything. It was sent. During the actual arbitration hearing, he stated that he was on the call and on his laptop or computer waiting for the wire to be sent in the moment while we were on the call. It was just so dishonest. He couldn't remember. He could remember every call except the few calls that he contacted her. He just couldn't remember what he contacted her for. Well, she did. It was to, plant the seed of doubt that I was incapable of putting on the event. So it was just full on, very unethical what he did, and it was clear to me that he was controlled by, the people, Robert Naples, the dean, the people in charge. He put all the pieces together. And even after he canceled the event, which broke my heart, we had a call 30 minutes after. I don't know, probably around the 1:20 hour. It'll maybe all go in a book in detail someday, so it'll be more accurate, because now I can do that by not signing a confidentiality agreement. That he stated during that call that the dean had scheduled a different event at the same venue, Pauley Pavilion. I said, really, within 1 hour, half an hour of canceling this event, some student transfer event that. I said, wow, well, I can tell you are beholden to those above you telling you what to do. And he was just silent. It was like almost his way of letting me know, like it was out of his control.
Yeah.
So, ultimately, the show went on. We won the lawsuit, and I feel, though I don't know if I'd necessarily want to go through that sort of situation ever again, nor ever wish it on anyone else, because most would break and not come back and give up. This is now the time where free and equal elections will rise stronger than ever. I mean, I am ready for what's coming. And, the good. Love is greater than fear. And there are far, far, far more good people in the world than not. And there just happens to be a few people that are controlling our country that don't have our best interests at stake. So let's just peacefully replace them. And that's what we're going to achieve through the United We Stand tour and the projects that I mentioned before earlier.
If there's a Nobel Prize for being an absolute good person, you should get one. I'm a dick. I don't agree with most of what and I want to. I really want to. I want to. I see it very differently, and it's for me. It's just it feels like a continual fight. I don't.
But it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to
longer.
be. It doesn't have to be much longer. And you don't fight fascism to win. You fight fascism to fight fascism, as Chris Hedges said, and which fair enough, because that's how I see it. It may not happen in my lifetime, but it's going to happen. And the idea is to enjoy myself while I'm poking the bear with the popsicle stick, because the idea is that what you went through and what you're doing, what your goals are. And you're a genuine person. I know you believe what you just said, which is phenomenal. Which is probably why you sleep better than I do, which is awesome.
Quite peacefully, actually.
I sleep soundly, but I have weird dreams. So, but it takes a lot after what you've been through, especially, to still have faith in the human condition. It really does. I mean, I don't know if you see it that way, but it really does. And I don't mean faith in like some kumbaya spirit God thing or whatever, but just that you have faith in your fellow man, and that's a big deal.
Abe, it took people on the ground last year, Rowan Green out in Fort Wayne, Indiana, that is, of Stewards of Heartland and Earth Week, saying, can you kick off United We Stand tour here? The lawsuit wasn't even done yet. It was the people that pulled me in locally. And Jeannie Knipp of Need Peace down in Belton, Texas, giving back to veterans of PTSD, second stop of the tour, first stop Earth Week last April, July 4th down in Texas. And then it was Shayla Noella Rosalana of Founder Sister Winds hosting the 11th annual Sister Winds this past October, just a few months ago. We came and sponsored that free and equal elections and supporting women, empowering them in music, and also recognizing the 100th year anniversary of women's right to vote, the suffrage movement. No one's really doing that. I want to ramp it up more next year. And continuing on to the fourth stop of Freedom Rising at Dexter, Oregon, Tara Green, also in her 20s, caring about our country, freedom event at an eco village. Wow, I learned so much about Lost Valley Eco Village and how that operates and built by the people. And our fifth stop this year at Politicon, a bit more mainstream Nashville Music Center of United We Stand tour, 10,000 people at that venue. We've been with them, I don't know how many years, 5-6 years in a row now. They welcomed United We Stand tour. Abe, it was meeting these people on the ground that have rekindled. Like, my hope was always there, that was never lost, but it has accelerated, it has elevated, it has uplifted the inspirational, the beauty, the kindness of people, and the love. I mean, when you go out there, there's just no comparison to what this mainstream media and Hollywood and music. It's all a false illusion. That whole system is an illusion of what really is real.
Absolutely.
And what is really real is that there is so much more love than there is fear, not only within the United States, but throughout the world. I see it.
Well, I mean, I believe those people, I believe these people, us, feel that way. And you're right. You said it a second ago. There's a few that run things. And unfortunately, it's getting more and more consolidated to where it's easier to run things. You know what I mean? That's just, and I'm not decrying what you're saying, because I agree with you. There are more good people out there than bad. I mean, if you ask anybody with a brain, hey, how do you feel about sanctions killing 500,000 Iraqi babies? They wouldn't agree with that, you know. But when you say the word sanctions, it's soft, and the media doesn't ever say what sanctions do. You know, in the last couple of years, we've killed like 40,000 Venezuelans because they can't get medicine with sanctions. You know, so it's the few that control things that we have to sort of upend the apple cart. And I think the empire is crumbling. I mean, I think it's just, you know, Donald Trump is not the problem. You know, he is the symptom of the challenge. We had problems before January 20th, 2017, right? But all of a sudden,
or the symptom of the disease, right?
Yeah, he's the symptom of the disease. He's not the problem. Anyone that acts like Trump is the problem.
I agree.
That this impeachment fracas, which is absolute bullshit to me, and you know I can explain why I think it's bullshit, but it's going to make your life better. It's not. We had problems before. This is how we got here. If Obama was Constantine the First, which I think he was, because he was shrewd. You know, he's the guy who brought born-again Christianity into the mainstream because, you know, there's money in it. You can't have a dead Christian pay taxes, so quit feeding him to the lions. Let's make, you know, and let's have the government own the church. That's how the Catholic Church got started. Well, Commodus, who came after Constantine the First, was just a clumsy dolt. And after Commodus, the Roman Empire went through another 80 years of 90-day popes, basically. You know, like the guys were getting stabbed in the bathtub and everything within 60 days. So this guy sucks, and all of a sudden they're dying and, you know, getting chased out of power. And then the Roman Empire fell, and we're not even going to see it. I honestly believe we are so in debt that the Secretary of Interior is going to have a fire sale like they do in Scranton, Pennsylvania, or like Macron attempted to do in France, which you never see in the mainstream media. The yellow vest strikes that have been going on every weekend for almost a year and a half now. And they're getting their way. They're getting everything they're demanding. You're not going to privatize the ports. You're not going to privatize the airports. You're not going to tax Social Security. You're not going to make college a for-profit enterprise. You know, and they're getting their way one by one. But these corporatists, it's just no matter how much an inch you give, they'll take 5 miles. And that's why, it's important to believe the way you do that there's people out there that want the same changes, right? That's what I think. I mean, I have to keep reminding myself of that. You seem to have a natural love of people, which I admire. You know, because I don't think I do. I don't trust, and not that I don't love them. I just don't trust people, and that's kind of, I think that's my whole bane of my existence. I want to be able to do that, like what you just said, because it's so sincere what you said, and I know you mean it. Well,
it's you know, I've grown a lot wiser with the challenges and the people that I've dealt with throughout the years and decades. And, you know, I see energetically, you know, you're one of the first to grasp onto this vision. You obviously do your research probably deeper than most, if not almost every journalist, having found me and getting me on this call before maybe a few others or many others do. Again, whatever happens. But no matter where you are in the stage of like, gosh, can we fix things? Pessimistic, or this is maybe it won't happen during my lifetime. And I hear it with Chris Hedges. You know, he's our 2008 moderator. Mm-hmm. And that can be very dark, accurate in many ways, but very like, but ultimately, you want peace. You want that love. You want that harmony. When that spark comes, when that idea rises in America, because the whole world is watching the United States of America, because in retrospect is a bit more, or many would say far more awake than what the United States of America is right now. When that idea strikes, when that idea resonates, when it just takes off, nothing will get in its way. No government, no army.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you talk about Trump being like a product of a symptom, I guess, of disease, whoever got into that presidential role is going to be a part of that disease, because
100%.
It's Congress that controls. They're the key. It's far more important. Even if Tulsi Gabbard got elected,
that's right,
different sort of caliber than Trump, she'd still be a symptom of like this overall disease. So until and when we strike at the root of the issue, which is the fact that Congress really is in charge in the most important race, and that's just, last I checked, Abe, a couple hundred seats.
That's right.
That's not a very big number.
Not a big number, and you make an excellent point, because you make an excellent
point. We can replace them very quickly.
Very quickly, and you make an excellent point, because the thing I've been saying to people, I'm still, the jury's out on Bernie. He screwed me once. I'm like, whatever. And I've got my challenges with him, not like I do with Trump, but obviously. But then the thing is like, he could promise all the free cake and cookies he wants. Once he gets in, he won't have, if he does become president, it won't be with a mandate. And he's going to have a bot Congress anyway. And unless he pulls a Theodore Roosevelt and says, I'm not working with, and goes to the American people and says, I'm not going to work with a bot Congress, right? Unless he threatens industries like Roosevelt did, and threatening lumber and rail and steel, and saying, if you don't work with the unions, I'm going to. Which, the labor movement had a huge headway under Theodore Roosevelt until Taft came in, and he just gummed up the whole works, revert, back to the Stone Age. But that's the kind of leader you're going to require. And when you got a Bernie Sanders throwing Cenk Uygur under the bus, and I'm not the biggest Cenk Uygur fan, but that guy supported Sanders up the rear and gave him a ton of free airtime when nobody else would. And to sit there and throw him under the bus for, his comments he made that he explained and apologized for, these people, you give them an inch and they take 5 miles. And so it's going to have to be aggressive. And I don't mean aggressive like to go beat people up, but I mean it's going to have to be, like you said, it's only a couple hundred seats. And you're going to have these other guys shaking in their boots who do keep their seats to understand that if they don't play ball, they're next, right? And we had a thing here the same day you got your settlement, by the way. There's a libertarian guy out here named Neil Dykman. He was running for Senate last cycle. And he sued the state because we had this draconian bill get passed, and they got an injunction against the Secretary of State here, Ruth Hughes. And basically, what happened was and Ted Brown, this guy that's running for Congress up north in the North Austin up toward Waco area, a big area of Texas. He's running as a libertarian. He had to pay $3,125 to file. Before, it was free. And so your options were you either pay the $3,000 or you go get X amount of signatures. But those people that sign won't be able to vote until the general. Now, as a candidate, you're supposed to tell them that. How many people are telling them that? They just want to get the signatures to get out paying the $3,000. But Ted Brown paid it, right? That's exorbitant. That's pay to play. And Neil Dykman, who's a libertarian, and he'd been on the show before about a year ago, and we had a fantastic little dust up. No one called each other names. We just didn't agree on anything. But on this one thing, I agree with him. Because, he had enough integrity to put his money where his mouth is. He's a business owner, and he's an IT guy or whatever. And he took it all the way to the state Supreme Court, and he got an injunction. And so, and then pending, I think next year, hopefully it gets stricken off the books. But that's the kind of fight that you're looking at, like what you went through with UCLA. It's like everybody's being James Spader in an 80s film, and they don't even know it. Right? Like they're picking on Molly Ringwald with the feathered hair and the pulled up sleeves, and they're being absolute dicks. And they just rationalize it. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Well, it's I feel you, and the energy that we put into the fight is intentionally implemented by the system, the divisiveness, to distract us from focusing on the solution. So we're now shifting into 2020 into a direction of solutions. And the solution, I find, is very clear that as United We Stand grows the tour beyond 5 stops and furthermore, simultaneously, United We Stand presenting our presidential debates. We'll have our 8th annual electoral reform symposium, which will have more experts this year. several weeks ago, we had experts on, alternative voting methods to multi-winner proportional representation to online petitions, right? We get people elected into office to support these sort of ideas, ballot access, making ballot access the same for everyone, and, implementing online petitions. So ultimately, we don't have that costly keeping candidates off the ballot, flawed electoral system, gerrymandering. We had experts discuss that at our symposium. We're going to be implementing all that information into our blockchain election assistant app, which will launch at the final stop of our United We Stand tour next year, presenting our presidential debate, and it will evolutionize, really transform our voting system and bring about political transparency. The blockchain ledger seems to be the best of what there is now. Something better will even rise 5-10 years down the road, where blockchain will become obsolete, is what coders and developers are telling me. So that's exciting when that comes. But every problem we have, Abe, it derives from having the wrong people in office. It doesn't matter what top. So when we replace them through truly an independent candidates movement, these are words that have been messaged to me by civil rights leaders to implement this into the United We Stand tour. Really, I see every candidate as an independent, whether they run Republican, Democratic, third party, independent. Congressional ratings are all-time low. This is not any new news, according to the Gallup polls. Gallup polls, there are more independent voters than there are Democratic, Republican candidates. Once again, not new news. What we need and what we will have is truly a movement, that sort of candidates movement that will peacefully, positively, through music and arts and thought leaders and organizations and individuals coming together to ignite and inspire we the people, the younger generation, really everyone, to run for office. I ran for office, for statewide office. I think I was 27 years of age, 28 for Secretary of State back in, was it 2000? Oh my gosh, 10? Yep, 2010.
2000.
You can run for office. You're listening to this interview right now, and I strategically repeat myself on interviews certain parts because it's important to have consistent messaging
100%.
as people dig deeper into the work that I do with free and equal elections. So, yeah, that's what I foresee happening, and I'm excited for. I think it's once the train takes off, Abe. There's no slowing it down. You either jump on. There's no getting in front of it and stopping it. You can step off on the side. But it's going to be a fun ride. I'm on the train. So I hope everybody else hops on, because there's nothing. Once it moves, it's going to move fast.
Well, once you get somebody though, and this is the benefit of having a Bernie, like I said, I don't trust him. We'll see what he does, but the message is out there. The message is past him. The message has gotten past him, which is good, right? You got people of all stripes, saying free college, Medicare for all. And by the way, I'm 56. Okay, I got out of school like 30 years ago, and school was free. What frustrates me about guys my age looking at me with a straight face like I want a pony, and I'm like, dude, where'd you go to school? As soon as they say a Cal State or a Texas State or anything, I'm like NYU. I'm like, wow. Would you remember what you paid? Oh yeah, like $300 a semester. I paid $100 a quarter to go to Cal Poly Pomona in California. I got out. It was $100 a quarter rather, and now it's $6,000 a quarter to go to my old school. Right? It's a sort of. We used to do that. We used to do it before we commoditized everything. And there's certain things that shouldn't be a commodity, right? I don't think healthcare should be a commodity. I don't think education should be a commodity. In fact, you get more out of an educated workforce than you don't. So, I remember the statistic 35 years ago that a guy with a college degree made 5 times that of a person with a high school diploma. That's not the case anymore, because the jobs are plus or minus about the same pay-wise, and then if you do get a good paying job, quote unquote, you're looking at paying an exorbitant student loan of up to $100,000. And so we take a kid at 18 who 5 years ago just got out of puberty, and as he comes lumbering up to the admissions desk and figures out what he may want to do for a living, with that kind of exorbitant cost, we've taken all the colleges and turned them, again, the death of the liberal class, we turned them into trade schools, because no one's taking humanities anymore. You can't afford the units. No one's taking a philosophy class. You can't afford the units. When I was in school, it was all you can eat. right? So these things that we made into a commodity, prisons, I mean, we can go on and on. But when you get a guy with a message and the message starts to take off, I think that's when you're going to see some serious change. And and this is a big pot. The United States is a big pot. I don't know when it's going to boil over. But at one point, you're going to see some sort of a combination, maybe like the 60s, where you had a lot of people who believed if I did the right drugs and read the right books, I could change the world. And then you got some people that are going to be like the Black Panthers going, no, it's been long enough. We're going to have to do something about it. And we're going to get a change that's going to come whether these people like it or not. And as Mark Blythe, the economist out of Brown University, he's a Scot. I think he wanted to be a stand-up comedian because he's got great one-liners. The Hamptons is a low-lying beach. It's not a defensible position, right? All you need is you can get on that beach pretty quickly. And so once we start getting to that level of stuff is when people, I think, are going to start paying, the oligarchs, that's what's happening here, are going to start paying attention, because you can't keep doing this forever and squeezing the people and expecting them to play ball. You hear these magical thinking guys, well, you don't whine about the system. Well, you know what? I benefit from it, thankfully. But when you have 50% of the American workforce making under 30 grand a year in the richest country on earth, that's a failed system. Right. And so,
yeah, I mean, I definitely see. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on the university system. I definitely give credit. There's a lot of great teachers out there, far fewer administrators, and probably next to no deans when it comes to the university systems that have our best interests in mind. But, they are breeding their own kind into that, debts and 9 to 5. And so I definitely see us, focusing more towards the solutions of not fighting so much, but focusing towards building. We've had a lot of countries. I remember studying the Egyptian square and just how when the people came together, suddenly these entities rise in many countries and co-opt, right? This movement and want to take over. And so it's really important for a platform that is deeply rooted, that the people can truly believe in. That in Woodstock in the 60s, we had that movement happen with Neil Young and Joan Baez, Buffy St. Marie, the list goes on. And furthermore, Pete Seeger, I mean, one of the most beautiful, kindest souls I could ever wish have ever met and known, but to know he exists, definitely existed. It's something, a whole nother topic, another time. But what we didn't have back in that era, in the 60s, 70s particular, was a movement that could give people a direction to go in to actually bring about the solutions. And what's different in this era, Abe, than any time historically, because we've had great things rise and then chaos comes again. Great things rise, chaos again, which results in needless negativity and death. And no thanks to that. What we have this time is technology. And as I mentioned earlier, the call I had with Dr. Ron Paul a year or two ago, saying, university systems are the biggest threat. Dennis Kucinich was on that call as well. It was just 4 of us on that call total, of which he said, former congressman out in Ohio was gerrymandered out, which he said, the synergy of elections and technology will create something unrecognizable. So dialing and zeroing in on that blockchain app I keep bringing up, it is going to list every single candidate running for office. I mentioned in previous interview, I'll mention it again for those who haven't heard the previous interview. These are third-party independents, every single candidate running for office targeting the congressional races first. And so we're going to implement all the footage from our symposiums of the experts of topics I mentioned earlier on multi-winner proportional representation, from Celeste Landry of the League of Women Voters to professors of mathematics of University of Colorado Boulder and Colorado Springs on the mathematics of gerrymandering, into online petitions. Our speaker there, 30 years an expert in Colorado, speaking in that in great detail. We're going to have this, put into the app, but also the background of every candidate, their voting record, who's funding their races, and to make it really easy to click here to learn how to run for office. Who is running in your congressional district? oh, nobody's running in this seat. What does it take to get on the ballot? It will become a platform of information over time. I know it's bold to say, but beyond Facebook, because that's and Instagram and Twitter, just platforms that cannot be trusted. They're beholden to the powers that be. Their full-on censorship is so unethical. They are going to be putting themselves out of business in the long run. The real movement will build from the ground up and will be on a decentralized platform that the people. I have no attachment to free and equal elections. I'm simply here on Earth in this fragment of 2 seconds, a blink of the eye of time, as a creator of this idea to hand off on a decentralized platform for the people. It is not mine to own. It is for the people, free and equal elections. So this is what I see happening through our projects, and I'm excited to speak. This is the first time I've really spoken in great detail about the UCLA case, because it is still a little bit emotional to me in this interview. But hey, I'm raw, and we all have emotions. But come 2020, we're going to be ready more than ever. Not only myself, it's the team. You are who you surround yourself with, and I and Free and Equal would be nothing without the catalyst of beautiful volunteers. I hope many of them listen to this call. Our Free and Equal core team. They are the beating hearts of this movement, and they are the ambassadors, the warriors of light. Free and Equal elections, we are calling on all ambassadors to join this movement.
Well, listen, and I'm glad you praise your folks, but the fish rots at the head or survives at the head, and you're a good person, which is why you attract good people. That's just the fact of life. Because I've dealt with different organizations, and I've seen good, bad, and the ugly, and just that never goes away. That just never goes away. How someone does anything is how they do everything, right? And so, to maintain your perspective while you're going through the lawsuit, which was probably an emotional drain, no doubt, and to maintain your optimism. I've not been through anything like you've been through. So I'm kind of an asshole to believe what I believe. But no, seriously, but that's the thing is you attract, what you are. So, for all these people that you're getting to you, it's because you're doing something right. And you're being fair. I mean, I know you're not a hardcore conservative, but to welcome a Republican, who doesn't have some private corporate agenda to come on, and they won't come on because they do have a private corporate agenda. But the more honest Republicans, like a Ron Paul or on the Democratic side, like a Dennis Kucinich, who would come on because they have nothing to hide. Those are becoming few and far between. I mean, look at this crop of Democratic candidates now. I mean, even their donors are being outed, and people are just sort of going, well, any blue will do, anything better than Trump. I'm like, I can't do the Pete Buttigieg thing. I mean, he's got 39 billionaire donors. The other night, somebody told me I was homophobic because I didn't like him. I said, I'm sorry. I don't care that he's gay. It's identity politics. Give me a gay guy who's not an asshole. I'll vote for him. That's all I ask. You know what I mean? I don't care if it's a woman. Jill Stein, it would have been fine. Don't give me a warmonger, pro-fracking, pro-banking person. Don't piss on me and tell me it's rain, which is what the system does. And with identity politics being what it is, it's just a United Colors of Benetton ad. Nobody wants to come out and, say like Kamala Harris. I'm sorry, I'm from California. That woman was one of the worst attorney generals in my lifetime, period. Hands down. And I was saying this like 6 months ago. I like her. It'd be nice to have a black woman. Any other black woman would do. Nina Turner would be awesome. Let her run. She doesn't have an incarceration record where 40% of the California state firefighters are nonviolent prisoners who, by the way, when they get out of prison, can't get a job at a fire department because they have a felony on their record. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about, where you attract what you are, and you're doing the right thing, and you believe in your fight, and that's why you're attracting good people.
Well, it's Nikola Tesla, free energy. He said that there would come a time, given the historical references of the 1920s being 100 years, really coming years of next year of the women's suffrage movement, right to vote. It was women that were, in fact, the very last to be given the right to vote. And so he said there'd come a time, where women would help to create a spark for this idea movement. And I'll ride that wave because it's been definitely not in my favor in the previous decades, being a woman in this movement. Now it's become more neutral. Great. But I agree with you. It's not about genders of male or females or race or ages. Wow, we have this type of person running for office. They must be great. It does not matter. It is about the heart and soul and the compassion of what that person stands for, not only beyond party lines. They can use a party line. Go for it. Use it to get elected. I think parties are going to fade away. There's really, over time, parties, they become infiltrated as they become larger. JFK, said, just, well, that's a whole different reference, but, just letting it, there's no like left or right, just let it be the right answer. There's no left or right way.
That's right.
And so Nikola Tesla, he did say there'd come this time when the woman would rise, and that time is here. But it's really beyond the gender. Free and equal elections welcomes people who care about our country, who want peace, love. People have different, when you say the whole trust thing, Abe, if anybody, I've gone through quite a few hurdles, and I've trust, man, I feel you. But I had a close friend of mine look at me one day when I was really, really unusually feeling a little bit sad about something that happened because of the trust thing. And he looked at me and said, "Don't you ever lose your ability to trust people. It is one of the most beautiful things about you, Christina." And it really struck my heart deeply, because I still bring the wisdom that I have as we get older. But I choose to trust until given any reason otherwise not to. And that is a really healthy place to be. The system wants us to stay in our homes and be scared and not trust anyone around us, because then they can control us. And guess what? That is not an option for me. I am not to be controlled by a system that, after seeing through WikiLeaks and the Snowden, I'm reading Snowden's biography right now.
I just finished it.
Permanent record.
Yep.
And just Julian Assange, I cannot wait for the day that a president is elected and he is pardoned. These individuals that have stood up for the people. It just is clearly the case. And Ross Ulbright, that is, I misspoke. Free Ross. It just really, it's knowing that when this movement succeeds, so much beauty will come of it. And there have been times, Abe, I'm like, okay, maybe this is like somebody else is going to do this. I just don't see it. So it has consciously, there's just no way I could stop doing this and consciously be okay with that, knowing that should this succeed, what a positive impact it would have, throughout the United States of America and really spread throughout the world. So I will keep doing and playing my part. And I am calling once again to all warriors of light. I'm calling all ambassadors to be a part of what we're doing. You can go to free and equal, EQUAL.org, and really get informed and join us on the United We Stand tour next year. So we already have stops. It'll be announced this Saturday. We'll
Awesome.
have our stops starting to be announced. So you caught us right at that time. I'm really excited for what's coming.
Well, listen, we gotta wrap up. In the last couple of minutes here, I'm glad you put the website in, because I was going to ask you for that. freeandequal.org. And I'm really grateful you came on the show. Thank you so much. I know you're really busy and you got a lot on your plate, so I really appreciate you taking the time out and talk to us. And folks, that's about it. So again, if you want to become a supporter of the show, you can always listen on iTunes and Stitcher and Spotify and all the usual suspects, but you can also visit patreon.com/thebittertruth. And if this stuff makes you uncomfortable, it's supposed to. Sleep tight.